Hello, welcome to Let's Create. And today I thought we'd do something different. I'm going to do what they call a reverse decoupage. So I'm going to make another Lazy Susan. And for that, I have my Mod Podge in satin. You can use the Mod Podge for dishwasher safe, the gloss, the matte. Just don't use the one with the sparkles. So that. Have a bowl to put the Mod Podge in. A brush. You can use a brush like this, a sponge brush. Whatever works for you. For me, these work well for me. Container with some water in it, just in case your brush gets too gunky with glue. You can have that just to clean it off, and then like a piece of napkin to clean it off with or dry it off with before dipping it back into the glue. A napkin of your choice. I'm going to do two different napkins. I have this napkin over here. I purchased this at Walmart during their clearance last year. So then I'm also, for the center of it, I'm going to use this napkin. Now, when you're using two different napkins, make sure that the background are similar or close enough to be similar, so that these two are both white. So it's okay to put that along with this. So, but today we're going to be working on the base of it, which is this pretty little bowl that I bought at the Goodwill. So we're going to be working on that. And then I've also purchased another microwave dish. This is going to be worked on later. We're going to work on the base first, and then I have a Lazy Susan mechanism, which I'm just going to E6000 it. And whenever you're just planning on gluing it, do not use hot glue, because if you pick it up from the microwave dish part, that hot glue gun does not stick. Now you can put a little bit of hot glue along with the E6000, so that, because the E6000 takes about 12 hours to cure, so it might move on you. So if you don't want it to move on you, what I would do is I would put a bead of hot glue gun in the area where you're not putting this E6000. So I have this, but I'm going to put this away because we're not working on that right now. So I've already cut two pieces that I know I'm going to need for this, and I trimmed off the straight edge, like this part right here. Or if you were to cut it with a scissor, you have to trim that off, or else you will see it. You will see it in your piece as it dries. It'll look like a hard line. So then next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to clean the inside of this. I'm not worried about the outside. I'm just worried about the inside part of it. So get some cotton and put some alcohol on it, and then just clean the inside. That way any dirt, oil residue will come off. You don't have to worry about the outside. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to resin the inside, which is going to be kind of hard to do, but I need to protect this napkin from all sorts of debris that might go in there. So the best protection for it would be the resin. Okay, that should be good. Let it dry a second. Okay, back the pieces dry on the inside. Try not to touch the inside part of the glass unless you have gloves on your hands. So then I'm going to put my Mod Podge. I just rolled it up a little bit like this, and pour a little bit at a time. So that's what I'm going to work with right now. Now, if you notice, see how remove the plaid looking part of the napkin? It's all gone. Well, majority of it is gone anyway. Now I'm going to insert the napkin like this, right? But I also did some tears on the napkin. That way it won't look this lumpy. It'll kind of collapse on its own with it. So now, but anyway, if you want to know how to tear up the napkin, hold your napkin with your dominant hand. Mine, I happen to be right-handed. So with your non-dominant hand, you hold with your index and your thumb, and then with your dominant hand, index and thumb, you just rip, and you're protecting the parts that you want with your other hand, and removing the stuff that you don't want with your non-dominant hand. You could switch back and forth because it all also depends on where you're tearing and how you're tearing it. So that's how you tear a napkin as safe as you can get. Sometimes it doesn't always work. Okay, so now we're going to remove, I believe this is a 2-ply napkin. Let's see. Yeah, it's a 2-ply, which means it has one white background and the decorative part. So find a spot where you can rip. There you go, and be gentle about it, or else you'll rip the parts that you do want. Now, since I have tears into this, the part where you tore at, you be careful with, because it might just take the part that you don't want to be removed. So you got to be careful at the areas where you tore, so that the napkin can fold on its own and not be so lumpy. There we go, just like that. So then set this aside a second, and we're going to put glue in the areas that we're going to work on. If you notice, on the last decoupage that I did, I painted the platter part. I painted it white first prior to doing this. This is why it's called the reverse decoupage. It's because you have to do your napkin first and then paint once everything is dry. Hopefully that's enough. If not, we can put more. I have the fan going, so it's blowing my little piece. If you'd like, well, that's not gonna work for me. Can you guys see? Okay. With the dry brush, kinda, or with a pokey stick even. Don't worry too much about them being wrinkled, because you can't help that. This is a round piece. Sorry, I'm not saying a lot, but I'm trying to concentrate on this before it fully dries on me. Because to tell you the truth, I've never done this before. This is my first time. I've always only done it on flat. Okay. And that glue will dry clear. Okay, now we're gonna take our brush with the glue and start. Don't brush it from the outside in, do inside out. Oops. Tore apart that. That's what happens when, but it's only the white part, so that's okay. Let me get, that is fixable like you would not believe. So, just remove all of it, and then just tap the glue on instead of brushing it right there, and then take a piece of the white part. I don't want to take a piece of white part from your napkin, remove that backing, that layer backing, and then that might be a little too big. I don't want it to go on the white part. I mean, I want it to go on the white part. I didn't want it to go on the decorated part. Let that dry. Okay. If you don't have enough glue on the glass first, you could always flip the napkin over. Now, oh, was I even in frame? Right here is on the base part of the bowl is where you really have to glue, and also be careful not to rip. Okay, let me see. Don't worry too much. Like I said, don't worry about wrinkles. You can't help it. This is how this thing is going to have to be. Because Now you can rip a little bit of it and hope that it'll fold over on itself. Like I said, be careful on the base, that edging part. Can you see me? Just like that. Now you don't have to worry about folding this in to that edge, because we're only gonna resin the inside part, not, and then maybe just rub a little bit of resin along the edge to keep the napkin safe. Now if you don't like the way this looks, you can always change it. What you do is you soak this in some hot water and then wash it. It'll come off. Now I'm putting a lot of glue, especially it's ring. I've got too much glue. And it's wrinkling or tearing. If you find that it's doing that, like I said, just stop where you're brushing at and then let the glue dry. Okay, I'll let that dry a second, and I'll come back to you. Okay, it's been about a half an hour and it's still wet. And the part over here that I had replaced with a napkin tore again, so I had to put another napkin. But I shouldn't have needed, I really actually didn't need to do that, because once this is done, we're gonna paint everywhere white. So I shouldn't. So if you tear and your background is white and you're gonna paint everything white, I would just leave the tear alone. And now I took the other backing off of my next napkin piece. And don't forget, don't glue it inside out. We want the floral part, or the decorative part, going towards the outside. Oops. So I'm going to put more glue down. This is going to be directly across. Let's put a good amount of glue. And make sure that you're thinning out the glue as you brush, because you don't want lumpy glue there. Okay. Oops, look at that. See? I was getting ready to put it down the decorative inside. It would have been You guys notice that I didn't use that one of these. You could use it, but it's kind of different when you're putting the glue on the inside of your decorative piece. Okay, let's start the gluing process. Work from the inside out and do it gently. And then once this dries, we're going to recoat it with glue with just one layer. Now the edge right there, the inside edge, that's where you're going to have a little slight rough time, because that's where it might tend to rip. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for right now on the edge. I'm going to let that dry so it'll stiffen up the napkin, so then when I do my second coat, it won't rip. Okay, so we're going to go inside out. Okay, now you see how see-through that is? The glue is drying, but it's going to be see-through. It'll once we put more glue and then paint it, you'll see it'll pop. Paint the back of this, the red will pop more. I have to fix a red over here because it started tearing, so I'm going to take a piece of red over there and put it right above that, so it won't look like, because it'll pop, the white will pop through to that, so you don't want it to look like it's torn. And if the areas of the napkin is still bubbling up, just dab some glue into it, push it down. Don't worry too much, but you just want to make sure that it doesn't bunch up. I mean, it's going to be wrinkled. It's going to have that wrinkled look, texture. So there we go. I'm going to put, since this side is basically dry, while my glue, I'm going to put some of that red on there. Just a small piece. You just got to make sure that you put it where you, like this, not the back side. Do the front side of the napkin, not the back side. Okay. Gonna look at it from this side and put it in. Just got to make sure I'm putting it in the correct way, or at the site of the tear. Okay, now we're gonna, that side we have to let dry. And once it dries, I'm going to put another coat of glue to it. That's why I said you need that water, so you're not constantly washing out your brush. And we gotta wait a couple hours or even overnight to do the paint. Well, once this dry, I'll come back to you again, and we'll see about finishing it off. Okay, we are back once again, and this time the spaces right there, I am going to fill them in as I pre-tore some of these, just a couple of them. And since there's glue right there, you want to clean majority of it off with some cotton swab and alcohol. And if you have a lump, take an X-Acto knife and just scratch it off just like that, making sure that you don't go to where the napkin is at. Because the napkin will come off. And then just clean it some more with some alcohol swabs, just like that. Let it dry. Take some, because there's a haze to it because it's alcohol. Just with glue, just take a little bit of and just remove the haze to it. Okay, so then we're going to take this one. The white, you want to put the white part at the top right here, and take majority of the red part out, because the white part of your napkin is right there. Do you notice? Here we go. Let's get started. Let's put our glue back on. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over to where I want it. Oh, didn't go all the way down with the glue. Okay, so you want to place it to where, like, say if there's a leaf there, you want to overlap the leaf with it, or red there, overlap the red. Okay, make sure that the napkin isn't flipped over. Use our okay, let's add a little bit more glue to it. Now you notice I left some stuff out, so I'm going to add some more red there. Okay, now move that. There's a lump right there. I'm going to cut that off. Okay. See how that glue is drying out clear? Let's see. Which way do I want this? I think that's how I want it. Ugh. Got glue on my finger. Okay. Inside out. It's a little bit difficult for me. There we go. That's better. Well, so far so good. Now, what I'm doing now is just filling in the blank spots. So, right here is a blank spot. Can you see me? Can you see me? And you don't want the napkin folding over on itself, so make sure that you straighten it out. I'm going to put a little bit of red over there. The platter part of this should be a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to put some, ooh, touch the wet glue. Fold it on it to itself, straighten it out. Take your little piece of saran wrap, pat it down. Can you see me? Now glue it back up. Okay, over there I want the white decorative part. Put a berry over here. Pat it. So once you're done with all the putting your decorative piece, if like say right there's a missing piece, you can go back afterwards and put some more things on it. Like add another piece of red which I'm going to do right now. There we go. Let that dry, because if I keep going over it over and over, there, it'll just tear. See right over here, it's missing a decorative piece. I'm just gonna add this part to it. And make sure you don't put it decorative side facing you. It won't look good. And then all the other parts, we'll just, once we get the white paint in, it shouldn't be so transparent. It's just getting everything in. Here we go again. Took a bigger part. I'm gonna put my glue down. I got the big one, so the white part, so it's gonna have decorative part goes in. Okay. Gotta put some more glue. Okay, just need a little red there, and we are going to be done. Then we're gonna let it dry. Maybe I need a green. Let's grab a bit of green. Oh, there's the green right here that I can get a hold of. Get as much of the red off, because all I want is the green. There we go. That is done. Look at it from there. Yeah, I'm not going to put anything more on it. On. Okay. Here we go. We're going to let it dry. I need to put glue right here. Okay, we'll be back. I'll be back whenever this is ready to be painted. Okay, I'm back, and before I put another coat of Mod Podge on it, I'm going to sand off these little flappy stuff. So I'm going to use a sanding block, and I'm going to sand this way, not up and down like this. Now it might be a little bit hard because some will have glue, so you might have to put a little bit of oomph into it. Just like that. See? Comes right off. Just even stroke this way, not up and down this way, just like that. You can use a sanding block like I'm using for nails. You could use a nail file. You could use sandpaper. I like using these sanding blocks. Of course, it is a little bit harder where there's glue to it. So you gotta put some oomph. Don't worry if some are up a little bit. When we put our Mod Podge on, we'll put it right there also, and it'll help seal right where there's no glue at. Like that's lifting, that'll help seal it. Go. Yeah, any rough spot, just go back over with go back over it with the file. It's not actually a sanding block, it's a nail file block. Okay, got that off. Just smooth the, oops. Just smooth off any rough spot. Okay, that's okay there. That's okay there. Oof. Don't do that. I just blew sand dust and napkins into my face. One of your, oops, might need that. Might need that. There we go. I'm just going to just like this. And I'm putting a very good amount of this. But you also got to make sure that as you're brush stroking it, that you're thinning it out, that you're not leaving clumps of glue. See that area where it didn't fold in over there? Just add a little bit more, and then just do that. Any areas. So you just gotta pay attention to your edges. Make sure that your napkin is not opened up, that it's sealed. Just like right there, there's an area. And don't worry about too much about getting glue on the outside of the bowl. That can be cleaned off. Your main concern is trying to make sure that the napkin is not lifting anywhere. Okay, that's it for this part. I'll see you when I'm ready to put the paint on it. Okay, I'll be back. Okay folks, I'm back with the last part to this video, which is painting the inside of it white. So I got this apple barrel white matte metallic acrylic paint, so I'm going to use that. You can use gloss. As long as you use white, you can use any brand of white. There we go. I've got my pouncer. You could use a brush, but I'm going to use this pouncer. I'm going to be liberal about my paint. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way out. You see, it's going to need 2 coats, but you see how that popped now that you have the coat of white on it. So this is probably going to need at least 2 coats. At the minimum, 2 coats. And I like to use the pouncer because it doesn't leave brush marks, and it has like a slight texture to it, but it flattens out as it dries, unlike brush marks. Okay, I'm gonna take it and start doing the outside, or outside inside. And don't forget, like over here, you want to do this part here too, like that. But we'll get to that. Look how well they pop. The colors pop now. The red's more vibrant now. Now that it's got the background back. Because basically this is the background of the back of the napkin. And I know you're wondering, well, how come we didn't decorate this part? It's not going to be seen. This part is going to get covered up with your Lazy Susan mechanism plus the platter. This is why it's called reverse decoupage. Technically, I don't know if it's called reverse decoupage. That's what I'm calling it. I'm not acquainted with what it's actually called, but I thought I heard reverse decoupage somewhere. Make sure that everything is covered up and that you don't have paint that's pooling in one area. And don't worry about the paint getting out there. That's gonna be removed. But you just want this part right here. There we go. There we go. So let's take a look at the vibrancy of it. Okay. Yeah, you can still kind of see the glue there, but it's still still drying out. That might never come off, but it's beautiful. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and give a try with decoupaging. You don't have to be perfect. Like right there, that's not perfect. The end result is just going to be beautiful. That's all I care about, is the end result. If somebody wants to buy this, I would sell it, but if not, I can always keep it for myself. Okay, so give decoupaging a try. It's not that hard. Give me a thumbs up or a like, and subscribe to my channel. Help my channel grow for me, please. And so until the next creation, I'm gonna bid you goodbye. Bye.